Hi, I'm Hannah, aka Hannah B Reads, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be tier ranking all of my 2025 reads. This is a video I knew I wanted to make when I decided to start posting on YouTube, so I am very excited for it. So I have my laptop here, and I already have all of my books uploaded into the tier ranking, and then I also have made my tiers. If you know me in real life, one of my favorite shows is New Girl. I've decided to do all of my tiers as either a New Girl quote or reference. So at the very top, we have Shoddy What That Thing Do, which is a quote by the one and only Winston Bishop. These are going to be like my 6-star reads, cream of the crop, Roman empires. And then next we have You Have Found My Flabbergast Button, and guess what? You've pressed it, which is a quote by Schmidt. And these are going to be my 5-star reads, really incredible books this year, but not quite 6 stars. And the next one is, which if you haven't seen the show, sorry, kind of a spoiler, but also kind of not. But this is a reference to when Nick tells Jess that he loves her and she just finger guns him back. These are going to be 4-star, maybe high 3-star reads. Books that I liked, but maybe I'm not ready to say I love you to them yet. And the next one is The Enemy is the Inner Me. And this is a Nick quote. These are going to be like 2 to 3-star reads, like books that maybe I enjoyed but could have done without. And then we have This Is My Nightmare. And this is also a Nick quote. This is when he is stuck in a haunted house, which is also my nightmare. These are going to be my 1-star reads. And then at the bottom, we have I'm Not Convinced I Know How to Read. I've just memorized a lot of words. A truly iconic Nick Miller quote. And these are going to be books that honestly I don't remember enough about to rank them, if that says anything at all about how I feel about them. If you see a hairy butt right here, it's just my dog. She's very confused while we're sitting in the living room right now and not in bed. Without further ado, let's get started. But I'm just going to start with the first one. So the first one is Spectacular. This was a Christmas novella by Stephanie Garber. If you watched my 2025 reading tag, you know that I'm a big fan of Stephanie Garber. I really enjoyed the illustrations in this book. The story was okay. It was really nice seeing these characters again because I love most of them. Let me say that. I love most of them. I think I rated this about a 4-star, but I actually don't know if I would put it in the Flabbergast tier. So I think I'm gonna do Finger Guns because I really enjoyed it while I was reading it, but it's also not truly 5-star material. All right, next is The Poppy Fields by Nikki Ehrlich, I think is how you say her last name. She's the same author who wrote The Measure, and I really liked The Measure by her, so I actually found this arc at my local indie bookstore. I was really excited to read it, but I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a letdown. I think it was really good, and it had really good themes of grief and just like people dealing with struggles, but I definitely don't think it measured up to her debut novel. So I'm gonna put this one in The Enemy is the Inner Me. Next is Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. This is her newest novel and also her first adult novel. And I had a lot of fun with this one, but one thing about Stephanie Garber that I've learned is that her series get better as they go along. So I think I'm going to put this one in Finger Guns also because I did really like it. I'm interested to see how the series will continue because I think it's going to get better. All right, now we have The Handmaid's Tale. I really liked this one, but again, didn't do too much for me. So I'm going to put it in The Enemy is the Inner Me. All right, next we have Legendary. This book was my favorite in the series. I really liked this one. So I think I'm going to put it in the Flabbergast section. This might be subject to change, but right now that one's gonna stay there. All right, now we have House of Sky and Breath, which I feel like I should do these in order, the Crescent City books. So let me find the rest of them. Okay, so we have Crescent City. I really liked this book. I had such high hopes when I started this series. So I think I'm gonna put this one in Finger Guns. I really liked the more modern fantasy aspect of it. And like I said, I really enjoyed the characters in the first one, but they went downhill fast. So now we have House of Sky and Breath. I'm gonna say The Enemy is my inner me. And then, believe it or not, for House of Flame and Shadow, I think I'm really tempted to put it in This Is My Nightmare. I did this as a buddy read with my cousin Savannah and my friend Emily. And honestly, I think that was the saving grace for this series. was being able to talk about it and be like super interactive. And that's probably the only thing keeping it from This Is My Nightmare. Sarah J. Maas's writing. I read ACOTAR a couple years ago and I absolutely loved it. I also read Throne of Glass a couple years ago and really loved that too. But after taking a break and coming back to her writing, I realized that it's just maybe not my favorite. I really can't stand how she writes these badass female characters and then makes them insufferable. Bryce was on track to be one of my favorite SJM characters, but that went out the window really quick. And I swear, if I see one more of her characters flick someone off and stick their tongue out, I'm going to riot. The next book is Finale by Stephanie Garber. This is the last book in the Carve series. This was not my favorite book in the series. This book made me really mad. The storyline in this book just aggravated me. So I think I'm going to put this one in The Enemy is the Enemy also. That one's also really bordering This Is My Nightmare. The only thing saving this book from that tier are Scarlet, Julian, and Jax. All right, next we have The Atlas 6. And I really hate to do this, but I think this is going to go This Is My Nightmare. I was really excited to read this book, but it just really fell flat for me. I mentioned this in my last video. I enjoy dark academia, but this one just seemed a little dry to me. It definitely had some good aspects to it, but it just wasn't for me. Okay, next we have the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I need to get the other one to put next to it. Okay, so Once Upon a Broken Heart, the first book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I'm going to put that one in You Have Found My Flabbergast button because I loved that book. I love that series as a whole. If you watched my last video, the second book in the series, The Ballad of Never After, that is going in Shoddy What That Thing Do, because that one was my favorite book in the series. And then A Curse for True Love. Let me tell you something. There is one saving grace in this book, and it's one specific place that two of the characters go to. But there is one character POV that you get in this book, and they royally ticked me off. My friend Emily let me know that I got another POV in this book, and I was so excited until I saw who it was. The fact that I had to suffer through that point of view knocks this book down a little bit. So I'm going to put it in the Flabbergast because I still loved it, but it had its moments. The next is Mockingjay, and I did read the entire Hunger Games series this year, so I'm going to do all of these together. Okay, so we have the first book in the Hunger Games series. I'm going to put that one in You Have Found My Flabbergast button because I feel like it's just a classic. And this was my first time reading through them, so it was a really fun time for me. Next is Catching Fire. I'm also going to put that one in the Flabbergast button. This one is honestly my personal favorite in the series, but it's pretty much on par with the first book. Then we have Mockingjay, and I'm going to put this one in Finger Guns. Out of all three of them, this one's probably my least favorite. All right, now we have The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I'm going to put this one in The Enemy is the Inner Me because I really enjoyed this one in the beginning. It was really interesting to be in Snow's head and see him kind of descend into madness. But overall, I just thought this book was entirely too long, and about halfway through, I was getting pretty bored with it. I think if it would have been a little bit shorter, it would have saved this book. Then we have Sunrise on the Reaping. I'm going to put that one in Flabbergast button. This one is close to being a Shoddy What That Thing Do. Some of the trauma in this book was like a little too much, so that's why it's not up there. Next is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and I'm going to put that one in Finger Guns. The next one is Small Things Like These, which is a little short, like holiday novella. And I'm going to put this one also in Finger Guns. This one was really sweet. Now we have A Great Big Beautiful Life. And if you watch my last video, you know that this book made it onto my most disappointing reads of the year list. So I don't think this is quite nightmare material, so I'm going to put it in The Enemy is the Inner Me. Also, while we're at it, I think I'm going to move Handmaid's Tale to Finger Guns because I don't think it deserves to be in the same category as some of these books. All right, next we have All's Well by Mona Awad. This book was crazy. It honestly felt like the TV show The Twilight Zone, but I had a lot of fun reading it. I think I'm going to put this one in Finger Guns. Honestly, if someone were to ask me how I feel about this book, that's probably exactly what I would do. All right, next we have King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. Again, I talked about this in my last video. He is such a good writer. This one's going in flabbergast button because this book truly had me flabbergasted. We have First Time Caller. I listened to this one on audio, and the audio was really cool because one of the big things in the book is that they're on a radio show. So in the audio, you could hear like the sound effects of the radio show, which was really cool. But honestly, that was the only cool part about it. I'm going to put this one in This Is My Nightmare. I didn't like this one. It was too cheesy for me. Then we have Song Rising by Samantha Shannon. This is also a part of a series, so let me find the other one. All right, Song Rising. This one was really good, but I'm probably going to put it in Finger Guns. And then The Mask Falling, I'm going to put in Flabbergast. Because, actually, you know what? I'm going to put this one in Shoddy What That Thing Do. This is one of my favorite books in the series so far. I cannot wait to continue this series. I've said this before, but Samantha Shannon is one of the best fantasy writers out there. All right, next we have Evenings and Weekends. And my initial knee-jerk reaction was to put it in Finger Guns. But I think I'm going to put it in You Have Found My Flabbergast Button. Because I liked this one a lot more than I thought I was going to. Next we have Onyx Storm. That's going in This Is My Nightmare. If there was a category below This Is My Nightmare, it would be in there. I don't have great feelings about this book. I will say I had a really great time reading it because my buddy read it. But honestly, that was the best part about it. I just thought there was way too much information thrown into this book. And I don't really like where Rebecca Yarros is taking this story. I feel like she's constantly doing enemies to lovers, enemies to lovers, enemies to lovers. And I'm ready for the cycle to end. I think this series had really good potential, and I really liked Fourth Wing. Both Iron Flame and Onyx Storm, especially Onyx Storm, have been really big letdowns for me. All right, next is 100 Years of Solitude. I have mixed feelings about this one. I'm between Finger Guns and The Enemy is the Inner Me because this book was just crazy. I don't know how else to describe it. It was really good, and I annotated a lot in it. And it had some really good parts, but overall, I don't even know if I have words to describe how I feel about this book. It was really unique. And like I said, I think it was really good. It had some really good parts, but at the same time, it almost put me into a reading slump. I think I'm going to put it in Finger Guns because it's definitely a book that I'm going to think about, but I haven't yet decided if it's in a good or bad way. I just recently finished this within the last 2 weeks, and I feel like it's a book I might need to sit on some more. Next is The Nightingale by Kristen Hannah. I'm also going to put this one in Finger Guns. Honestly, this has been my least favorite Kristen Hannah out of the ones that I've read so far, which is The Nightingale, The Great Alone, and The Women. The Great Alone is by far my favorite book by her. And then it would probably be The Women and then The Nightingale. I still thought this book was really good. It just didn't captivate me like the other two did. Then we have The Graveyard Shift by M.L. Rio. I'm going to put this one in The Enemy is the Inner Me because what the heck was that ending? I expected a lot more out of this book than I got. I really like M.L. Rio's writing, but the storyline in this one just fell kind of flat for me. The next is The Dawn Chorus, which I forgot to include this in with the other two books in the series. But this one will probably go into Finger Guns. Next we have Writers and Lovers by Lily King. I just recently finished this one about a week ago. And I rated it, and I think I rated it 4.7 stars. But now that it's been about a week, I think that this one may have crept up into Shoddy What That Thing Do. So that is where I'm going to put it. I rated this book 4.75 stars with the plan to kind of sit on it. I've been really big into changing my ratings after sitting on a book for a little bit, and I've been continuing to think about this one, And I think I've just never related to a character more than I did to the main character in this book, which if you've read that book, I don't know what that says about me, but I think it deserves to be up there. We have Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. I read this with my local book club, and I think I'm going to put it in The Enemy is the Inner Me because it was fine. Nothing to write home about. It was really quick and entertaining. Again, I don't think it was anything super special. Next is The Hawthorne Legacy, which is the second book in the Inheritance Game series, and this one is going in This Is My Nightmare. I didn't like this book. It just felt a little too young for me, and the romance was obnoxious, for lack of a better word, and I just did not think this was as good as the first book. All right, now we have The Darkest Part of the Forest, which I think I'm also going to put this one in Finger Guns. Holly Black's writing is really captivating, and I listened to it because a friend of mine told me I should read it before reading Cool Prince. And this one was good. I didn't think it was anything crazy, but it did get me really excited to read Cool Prince. Next we have This Is How We End Things. And this is the first book that's going to go in I'm Not Convinced I Know How to Read. I've just memorized a lot of words because I couldn't tell you what happens in this book. I have a vague memory of what happens in this book, but it obviously was not memorable enough. All right, now we have The Essex Serpent. Immediately, not even without thinking, this one is going in Shoddy What That Thing Do. This was one of my favorite reads of the year. Don't see this book talked about enough, and I think it's really underhyped. If you enjoy historical fiction, I highly recommend picking this one up. Now we have Babel, and this one is also going to go in Shoddy What That Thing Do. I talked about this one a lot in my 2025 reading tag, so I'm not going to go too into depth, but I just thought this book was incredible. It's the only book I've ever read by R.F. Kuang, but I do have Catabasis on my shelf, and I'm really looking forward to reading that one because I loved this one so much. I'll tell you what though, it was a hefty read, but 100% worth it. Next is Golden Sun, which is the second book in the Red Rising series, and this one's going to go in Flabbergasted because this book truly had me flabbergasted. The stuff that happens in this book is insane. Next is Coraline, and I think that one's also going to go into Finger Guns. I had a really fun time reading this book. I read it around Halloween, and it's just like the perfect Halloween read. It was super short, super entertaining, and just the right amount of eerie and creepy. Next we have Bunny. It hurts me to put Bunny in This Is My Nightmare because I had it on my shelf for so long and I was so excited to read it, especially after enjoying All's Well by Mona Awad, but it didn't do it for me. I really wanted to pull my hair out in parts of this book, and I know that sounds so mean, but it's just how I feel. I can't help it. I really wish I liked it, but I just didn't. Next is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. And I think I'm going to put that one in, I really liked it and the audiobook was great. But I don't know, I'm coming to realize that maybe more cozy fantasies are not for me anymore. I used to love them. Legends and Lattes is one of my favorite books. But I tried to read 2 cozy fantasies this year, and I just wasn't that into them. Next is The Names, and this one is immediately going into Shoddy What That Thing Do. I absolutely loved this book. Obviously, it was one of my favorite reads of the year. I was not expecting to love this book as much as I did when I went into it, and I will recommend this book for the rest of my life. Next is The Compound. I'm conflicted on this one. I don't know if it deserves to be in This Is My Nightmare, but I also don't know if it deserves to be in The Enemy is the Inner Me. You know what, I think I will put this one in The Enemy is the Inner Me because I didn't hate it. It was definitely really entertaining. I listened to this one on audio, but I almost feel like there were parts that the author left out that I wish she would have included. There's just some information that I feel like was missing in this book. And the events that happened in it were crazy, but also not crazy enough to me. I read this after binging the last season of Love Island, but I would prefer the real Love Island to this. This is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I'm going to put this one in You Have Found My Flabbergast Button. I was really thinking that this one was gonna be a shoddy what that thing do. And don't get me wrong, I still absolutely loved this book. I've actually been thinking about rereading it because I don't think I fully appreciated it the first time around. So I feel like this has potential to be shoddy what that thing do, but for now it's gonna stay in Flabbergast. But if there's one thing about me, is that I love E. Schwab. Next is Starling House, and this one's going, I'm not convinced I know how to read. Again, I couldn't tell you what happened in this book. Next we have The Spell Shop, and this is another cozy fantasy that I read this year. And again, I'm not sure that this genre is for me anymore, which makes me really sad. I probably will still try it again this coming fall, so hopefully by then I'm back into it. But I think this one's gonna go in the inner me is the inner me. Because I still did enjoy it. I did just feel like it was a little bit long. The next one is Our Infinite Fates. And I think I'm going to put this one in the enemy is the inner me. I thought this one was really good. What really got me is V.E. Schwab had a blurb on the cover of this one. I did really enjoy the concept. Overall, it was a good read. I feel like this one's like a solid 3-star read for me. I just think it was lacking in some aspects. Next is City of Ghosts by V.E. Schwab. I think for this one, I'm going to do Finger Guns. Again, I love V.E. Schwab. I love her writing. I will read anything she puts out. This wasn't my absolute favorite by her, but this book kind of saved me from a slump. I read this one because I kind of felt myself going into a slump and wasn't really sure what to read next. And for me, V.E. Schwab is always the answer. Next is Frankenstein. I think I'm going to put this one in Flabbergast button. This one is really close to being a shoddy what that thing do. But again, I just read this one recently within the last month. And I feel like I still need some time to stew on it. Now we have Just for the Summer. And I'm going to put this one in Finger Guns because I actually really enjoyed this one. As someone who's not a huge contemporary romance reader, this book shocked me. I felt like it wasn't too cheesy. I felt the plot was a little bit more realistic than other contemporary romances. Next is I Who Have Never Known Men, and this one is for sure going in Flabbergast. This book was just like insane. I had so many questions the whole time. I just think this is a one-of-a-kind read. Next is Hamnet, and that one is also going to go in Flabbergasted. This is one of those books where the more time passes, the more I appreciate it. This is 1-star rating that I have that I think I need to go back and change. I think I have it at 4.5 right now, but I think it deserves to be a 5. Next we have Christmas Is All Around. I'm gonna put this one in Finger Guns also. This was another book that took me by surprise. Usually I'm not a very big Christmas romance girl, but I had this one on NetGalley. I requested it a couple years back when I was more into reading romances. But again, this one took me by surprise. I felt like the plot of this was a little bit more realistic than a lot of romances, and it wasn't super cheesy, and it was very Christmassy and cute. All right, last we have Hot Wax, and this one is 1000% going in shoddy what that thing do. Hot Wax was probably my favorite read of 2025. Honestly, I couldn't pinpoint one thing that I absolutely love about this book. I love books that are set back in this time period, and I also tend to really love books that have a music aspect to it. And this book just had me on the edge of my seat the entire time because I knew something was going to happen. I just couldn't tell you what. And it was just incredible. I'm looking at some of these now, and I do think I'm going to make some changes. I think I'm going to move Legendary down to Finger Guns because I'm looking at the lineup of other books here, and I just don't think it deserves to be up there with these. This row is solid. These were my absolute favorite reads of the year. I think this row is good too. This one's looking good. I had a lot of pretty mid reads this year. The only one I'm thinking about moving is Great Big Beautiful Life because I'm looking at these other books in this category, and all of these lean more towards so enjoying them than not enjoying them. In Great Big Beautiful Life, I just did not enjoy. I skimmed the last 20% of this book because I was so over it. I think I might have to move that one into This Is My Nightmare. Which makes me really sad because I've really loved Emily Henry in the past, but this one just really disappointed me. All right, well, I think that's it. I think this is my tier ranking for 2025. What's crazy is that I read 56 books in 2025, and only 20 of them were books that I really thoroughly enjoyed. I do think 2025 really helped me hone in on my reading, and I have a really good idea of what I like and what I don't like now. So, with that being said, I think 2026 is going to be a really good reading year. Well, I think that wraps up my tier ranking for all my 2025 reads. Thank you for watching and hanging out with me and my dog. Now I am going to go get in bed and read my book. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and keep an eye out for new videos. Bye.